acknowledgement. So to begin, I'd like to acknowledge that most of us in the Victoria area, at least, conduct much of our government business and live on the traditional territories of the Lekwungen-speaking people. Today, they're known as the Songhees and the Esquimalt First Nations, and also from the traditional territories of the Wasanich peoples. I also want to acknowledge that some of us on this call may be joining us from other traditional territories. So next thing I want to say is if you haven't been to a sprint review before, a sprint review is an informal meeting. It's a sort of a working meeting between the Scrum team and the key stakeholders. It's held at the end of our 2-week sprint. In those 2 weeks, we were trying to accomplish a goal. And so the purpose of the meeting is to demonstrate that the latest work done based on that goal on the product, and to give the stakeholders an update on our progress, as well as to collect feedback from our stakeholders so that that can feed into our future work and can help us prioritize and plan the work that we're going to be doing upcoming. And with that, I will turn it over to Elizabeth, our product owner.
Thank you.
Now
So I asked Mars that for today's, I think the best thing is this is one of our first reviews, is to actually use our technical, our e-whiteboard to kind of get us going on this, because really this has been a team built project. We're learning Agile, we're going through the steps. And so I think for our first review out, it's really nice to see some of the tools that we're using and how we're going through the motions of developing the handbook. So some of our successes since we first started our initial sprint was we had to come up with a name. And so we have actually changed the name. So if you were part of the initial meetings, the inception meetings, we were calling this project the Developers Toolkit. We have now changed it to a handbook. And the reason for that is really we want this handbook to be fulsome. So it's everything from predetermination, if you need a schedule or there's an amendment needed to an information schedule, all the way to having it approved and what to expect in a ORCS implementation, versus a toolkit where you would just kind of take pieces out of it. So we're hoping that having this e-handbook will actually give a more full approach that will link the entire information schedule process. Some of the other things that the team has been working on is actually mapping out, and that's why I wanted this picture here, mapping out the entire process of what is involved in an information schedule. It's very high level, and so this is kind of the process map that has the different phases that you would go through as a developer in creating a schedule. The green pieces are then kind of broken down into high level phases, and then where you see some of the yellow stickies are actually the items that this group is going to work on and develop as part of the handbook. So we're really trying to show that overview of what's involved in developing an information schedule and then breaking it down into the various steps as you'll go through. So one of the, we named it, so that's a great success. But one of the main things that we wanted to complete in this sprint is we wanted to actually create the application or the format in which the handbook would be developed in and accessible to clients in. And so we have made that determination, and we've set kind of the look of what the handbook would be. And we've actually started by creating the outline of it, as well as launching it onto the GRS site. So this handbook will be available via the GRS learning page. And if you go there, which we will, we're going to demo it for you in a moment. When you go there, you'll see that it says it's under construction. But the first thing we wanted to do is make sure that there was an actual handbook that we could populate, and that you as ministry clients could actually access that handbook. And then as we go through this project, more and more content will be added to it, and we'll be asking for you to test and to provide feedback throughout. So I'm going to pause there for a second and just see if there's any questions about some of the first highlights that I've mentioned. All right, hearing none, I will continue. So where we are is we are starting to now kind of think about what is the next step. So now that there's going to be a page in which clients can access this, where do we want to move from there? And so I just want this group to kind of be having that thought in their mind as we move over to the demo. And the demo is going to be provided by Sarah Blake and Natalie Russell. So I don't know who's sharing their screen. I'm going to assume Sarah.
I'd share mine first. That'd be great. Thank you, Elizabeth. This is Sarah Blake speaking, and I just wanted to show you guys quickly where this is going to be housed so that you're able to access it on your own time and kind of follow along with us as we make changes. So can you all see the records management page there on the website? Fine. Fantastic.
Yes.
So we're just going to go to the records management guide and learning on the left hand here, and where you see GRS learning is where we would be clicking to next. And this is the intranet for where you can find information about our various courses and our information on different courses you can take and the community practice videos. So at the top of the page is where you're going to find the link to this. As you can see, it says coming soon, Developers Handbook, which is so exciting to see on a page that we can show you. So if you click on this, this is going to give you the quick little glimpse about what it is. It's a handbook for ministry staff working with a designated GRS developer to amend or develop an information schedule. This resource is intended for ministry information schedule developers. And if you click on it, it's going to take you to the bare bones version that we have of the template. And you'll see here that this is based off of a guide that currently exists that Natalie's going to show, which is our guide to digitization standards in government. So some of you may have seen this already and used it, and it's a very intuitive and colorful and full of information handbook. And we really kind of agreed as a team that we liked having everything in one page. And as you can see at the top, there's the various tabs of all those different steps that we showed you on the mural board that we're going to be putting here into the handbooks. So right now, this is all we have, but I'm going to let Natalie show you the currently existing digital guide, so she can show you some of the features that we're hoping to implement as we move forward with developing our handbooks. So if there's any questions right now about how to find this, just speak now, and otherwise I will stop sharing and let Natalie take over.
Okay, if there's no questions, thanks, Sarah. I'm going to now share my screen, which is going to look fairly similar to the Developers Handbook under construction. But this is, and I've also shared a link in the chat section to the actual digitization information guide online, so you can flip through it and have a look at it. But from what I've done is I've just extracted some pages from the guide to demonstrate some of the key features of it. So it's quite an interactive guide. There are a lot of buttons and links and things going on in it. So I just wanted to show you some of them. And if anybody has actually used the guide for a digitization project, I'd love to hear some feedback about how you feel about some of these features, whether there's too much on the page, it's a little busy, you never knew it was there, you couldn't use it, sort of thing. So the first key feature is each of these tabs, they actually go to a section in the guide. So you can just click to wherever you need to go. And then within that, there are subtabs, which will go to the subsections of the guide. So anywhere you can go anywhere from anywhere in the guide. So that's kind of a handy feature to have the table of contents right there, so you're not constantly flipping back and trying to find your place. Next, this is just your basic table of contents. There are buttons down at the bottom of the page as well to click through page through page. But if you're on a PDF, you have a lot of different options as well for scrolling through. So you don't necessarily always need to use those. Some other features, the highlighted words, they actually are callouts and they'll open up a definition of some terminology as you go through. So that can be helpful as you're reading. It can also sometimes get in the way of your reading as well. So I'd be interested to know if people find that helpful or not. There are external links, so links to other records management standards and policies outside of this document. So these will take you out to another page and out of the PDF. There's also these graphics that again, I wonder how helpful they are. We also have catchwords at the bottom of each page. So that tells you what's on the next page. So you click to that, it takes you to the next page. If we can go online and see there, it just takes you to the next page. So that can be helpful too, but you also still have these buttons as well to take you there. There's a quick start guide. So this gives you an overview of the whole process. So we're thinking of something like this as well for the Developers Handbook. And I'm just wondering if this communicates that, if it really does look like it's a quick start guide, if it gives you a good picture of what's ahead. Then you can also download this, so you can sort of keep this page separately at the side of your desk, just so you know where you're at. You can check things off as you go. And then again, there are links to other parts of the document that relate to each step in the process. Here we also have boxes with graphics in them, and the boxes actually are communicating the benefits of doing this particular project. So in this case, it's Plan to Digitize. We would be talking about the benefits of having a record schedule. Again, does this tell you that, or would a list be a more efficient way of communicating that? There are cross references again, internal to the document, and a troubleshooting guide. So here's your problem. These are what to look for, and then some of the causes of that problem. And then we also, at the end, we list resources for whatever it is for your project, whatever you're doing. This is particular to digitization. Ours would be particular to record schedules and policies. And then infographics, which are basically flowcharts that you can download. And again, this gives you a picture, in this case, of how to digitize the records and then how to plan for your project. And then a glossary at the end. So those are some of the features. If anybody's used the guide, or if they have any strong feelings about some of these features, good or bad, we would love to hear some feedback so that we make sure to include or exclude that which is useful.
Thank you, Natalie and Sarah. So are there any questions kind of about the tool that we've decided to use, or about some of the features that you see in the actual digitization guide?
I just want to say also that I think we're going to stop recording at this point, just so people are not comfortable asking questions on a recorded session. I'm going to just stop recording at this point because I feel like the demo is now done.